I'm Micha, Heyboer. I'm part of Helios and Amptec and also part of Tinlicker. I've been making music for over 20 years. You're in Utrecht in our studios. We share 3 studios together. This is one of them.
Yeah, that's where you are. We were moving from studio to studio all the time, temporary places. And then we were finally like, we're not going to move anymore. We want some place, just that's our own. And so this became available and we bought these rooms and built these studios in them. In the beginning, you just don't know what you're doing. You just like, oh, you want loud noise, you know? But then we started measuring our room and started getting into it more. And we found out that we were like, oh, you only have good bass response when you stand all the way in the corner, you know, and not when you sit here in front of where you need it. So that's when we really got into it. But we had all sorts of combinations and subwoofer and speakers and always tried to get like the right sound.
We went to this vinyl plant who used to master our stuff, and they had the big Channel X speakers, and we're like, oh, this makes a big difference. You can actually hear what's going on, you know? So, and then we're like, oh, okay, maybe we should get better speakers. And then we bought better speakers, but then the room was terrible. And then we moved to a different place and slowly started improving the room with like bass traps, and you read online how to do it. But then all those rooms we used to have were not ours. It was always temporary. So you don't want to spend a lot of money on making a room perfect if you have to move out.
That was actually here because we always had 1 subwoofer, 2 speakers. And in this room, we expected more from it because everything was so perfect. But we couldn't get the phase right, and we did measurements and everything was like, we're still not getting it. So then we got really hardcore into software, and then it didn't work for us, to be honest.
I don't know, for us didn't really feel natural. Or there was a big latency involved, and I don't know, it never really felt right.
I think it was actually the guys from Amptec who who were around the corner. We were working with another product which was kind of only like room correction. It wasn't quite as good. And he said, what you really need to hear is Trinnov. And the minute you do that first measurement, because you don't have to do like 50 measurements, you only do the one with the nice microphone. And the minute you switch it on, it's like, yes, this is what we needed. Especially our problem area was between the subwoofers and the satellite speakers. We could never get it right. I mean, you tried with all the phases and all the, you know, filtering, it just didn't work. So the minute we got it, it was like everything seemed to be as one coming from the wall. So that's what we wanted.
Just the instance of the sub being aligned with the speaker made such a big difference. And we use it only up until like 300, 400 hertz. Everything else we kind of keep the characteristics of the speakers. But especially that low end in the dance industry is so important to have that right. Because if your low end is right, there's a lot of room for anything else. But yeah, that's so important. Yeah, it's really easy to set it up, like to calibrate it. In the beginning we just tried it and then it already sounded pretty good, but then we were like, maybe it can sound better still. So I think we contact you via email, and then over the internet the company can log into your system and help you calibrate your room better. That's super. Afterwards you can try and play with it yourself a bit and then be like, oh, this is the setting for me.
Before we always used to mix it a lot or test the mixes out a lot. You know, everyone always knows this final version 2, final version 100, you know. We have a lot less of that now. We still are perfectionists trying to get, you know, the final stages of the mix. Takes a lot of time, but it's quicker now. Yeah, what we hear here is also translated. So the AB is actually not listening to your room, but actually comparing the tracks.
My life became a lot more easy with this system, you know. Less guessing, less surprises when you're in a club and your sub is all of a sudden way too loud because it was phasing out in your room.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's one of many things that make you a better producer all the time. Obviously, you know, your experience with it and the fact that you know all your stuff better and the fact that you can trust the mixes that you make, definitely. I mean, it's a very bad feeling to be unsure of what you're doing, because you're just like, you're guessing, and it makes you feel very insecure because you think, oh, this sounds great, but does it really sound great? So that's what for me is the biggest impact that this system has, that the speakers have, that the room have, is that when you make something, you actually know that it's good. Or you know it's crap, but that also helps. The top improvement is always going to be more expensive. You know, it's the diminished returns. You spend a lot and you only get 1% improvement. But you realize that as you're getting better, you need to reach that level. So yeah, the toys become more expensive, but also what you're doing with them becomes worth more, to you at least. I think it's a good expense.
I would have bought it earlier in our career if I knew what it was capable of. Yeah. But it's easy, you said, if you build a whole studio like this, what a Trinnov costs compared to anything else. It's, you know, it's, yeah. But when you're an upcoming producer, it's quite a lot of money. But yeah, it's worth it, for sure.